We're joined by a great friend of our broadcast, Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio. He's also the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. I want to get to that in a second because we've got Secretary Mayorkas after a year finally coming to the committee to testify. But I want to start with this, Congressman Jordan, because we heard yesterday from the president. Now we know the White House is backing off from that, but because he was confusing the CDC mask case on travel with Title 42, which makes the question, does he even know what Title 42 is when he's making these statements? Because it's been in the news a lot. And we saw a lot of Democrats also starting to say, you know what, we shouldn't rescind this if we don't have a plan in place to deal with these huge numbers like we saw last month, 220,000 people. And those are the ones that are encountered, not the gotaways. So first to you, Congressman Jordan, it does seem like you've got Republicans along with a number of Democrats starting to join up with Republicans trying to warn the White House not to rescind Title 42. But the White House clarified yesterday, Congressman Jordan, that they are moving forward with ending the program.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of Democrats who are saying that they want to keep it. But I just think this is important to understand. It's already a chaotic situation, whether we have Title 42 or not. Yeah. But keeping Title 42 in place simply means that it goes from the current chaos to not. It would get worse if we got rid of it. It would get extremely or much more worse. So I think it's just important to understand that this thing is already a record number of illegal crossings every single month. We had 5 months in a row last year where it just kept getting worse, and that record that was there in July of 2021 was just broken this past month in the month of March. So yeah, while some Democrats are saying this, that doesn't take away the problem that's already there. So let's hope we can keep that in place, and as I say, keep a chaotic situation from being even more chaotic. But I think that the key takeaway for me, Jordan, is this is deliberate. Yep. This administration is deliberately putting in place policies that allow people to enter our country. They are not being detained. They're being released. And that, to me, is the key question we need to get an answer to from Secretary Mayorkas next week is, why are you doing this to your fellow citizens, the people who pay your salary? Why are you doing this to our nation?
Yeah, I mean, you've been working to get this hearing for a year. In the letter you sent to Secretary Mayorkas, I'm holding my hand, you said you finally agreed to testify after you started asking in April of 2021. And now he's going to come next week, April 28th of 2022. I mean, when you're dealing with these offices, this is part of their job is to come and testify to Congress. They're supposed to do it and to be in person more recently, obviously. Do you think, are they scared because they know that it's just that they're going to get hit over the head with these numbers, and they don't actually want to do what you were talking about, which is tell the Americans really what their policies are?
Yeah, no, I think it's all that. And the reason we asked for him a year ago is, remember what was happening a year ago. That's when President Biden said Vice President Harris was going to become the border czar. Since she's been given that title, I don't know what she has done to help the situation. Remember, a year ago, March was the highest month on record, March of 2021, for illegal immigrant encounters at our border until the month of April of 2021. And then April was the highest month until May, and then May was the highest month until June, and June was the highest month until July, when it was 213,000 illegal immigrants at our border. And then in August, it dropped all the way down to 209,000. So the reason we wanted him is that we've never seen this in the history of our country. And like I just said, this past month, we surpassed those numbers from a year ago that were record after record after record. Yep. So this is how, and the only rational conclusion any person could reach is this is deliberate. They are deliberately doing this to our country. And that's what I think we need to understand. It's not about, we need more agents or we need more this. But sure, we would if we were actually enforcing and securing the border. There is no enforcement. It is they're encountered. Oh, here you go. Go into the country. Go wherever you want. Here's your cell phone, and hopefully you'll show up when we're supposed to have some kind of hearing. Well, that is not enforcement whatsoever. That's just letting people in the country. And these are the kind of questions we're going to have for the secretary. But the fundamental question I keep coming back to is, why are you doing this? Is the left-wing agenda so much more important than any type of enforcement and doing what your fellow citizens who pay your salary and the law requires you to do?
You know, and Congressman Jordan, in your letter, and I like this because you see so many times these cabinet members will come before and they'll say, I'll get that data. I don't have it on me right now. And your first point is we want all data related to Customs and Border Protection not just the encounters, and those are the huge numbers we're talking about right now with Congressman Jordan, the 220,000 of last month, and which is the high, the record setting under the Biden administration there. And if you compare it back to the Trump years, you go back to then. I mean, you're looking at there were 37,000 encounters. That's still a lot, but I mean, it's way different than 220,000. But you also say we want the numbers on the gotaways, at least the estimates of what they're thinking, because that's a whole different issue, Congressman Jordan, because the encounters are one thing. It's also, if you got 220,000 people being encountered, I mean, how many people are just going right through without any kind of encounter that they can maybe estimate on, but really don't ever have a contact with?
Yeah, and those two numbers move in a proportional fashion. The Border Patrol agents will tell you if you're having record number of encounters, then you're probably getting record number of people getting in the country that you don't know about. So that is only common sense again. So this is how serious the situation is. But I still think the American people, I don't know if our country fully understands that they're doing this to us. This is not a problem because this is intentional. They are doing this is the result they want, which is the most troubling aspect of all this. Is the left, which now controls the Democrat Party, which runs the Biden administration, this is what they want for our country. And that's what I think we need to understand and underscore, particularly as we move into these critical midterm elections.
When I look at this and I look at all this together, we know also that this is not just about protecting Americans because of illegal immigrants themselves, but also the drugs. The fentanyl. I mean, everywhere I look and everyone I talk to, and it's affecting families, rich, poor, middle class. It doesn't matter. We see it, and that doesn't matter if you're on a border state or not. It is killing Americans all over the country. And to me, Congressman Jordan, this is should be a top concern. I know it is for you when you're talking to Secretary Mayorkas, because this is not just about some let everybody in process. This is killing Americans.
This fentanyl, you're right, is so bad. What it's done to families, what the impact it's had, and it's coming in, as you point out, in just record amounts from China to the cartels into our country. And when you have a border this porous, this open, no real enforcement, that is the other concern. And of course, there's the smuggling issue. There's what's happening to children, what's happening to women. I mean, all those concerns. So just, again, underscoring how wrong these folks are and why we want to make sure we highlight this for the American people next week in this important hearing.
Yeah, my final question for you, Congressman Jordan, and I thank you for taking a stand on this, holding these administration officials to account. Not, again, keep it on. I mean, if it takes a year to get them there, getting them there. But they do seem to ignore the humanitarian issue, and they kind of paint us, the conservatives, the Republicans, as the bad folks who want to close the border, and we're the anti-human. We don't want to help these people who are in trouble economically and things like that. But in fact, they create a crisis, a humanitarian crisis at the border that affects those individuals. You talk about the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, children involved, the drug trafficking, empowering cartels, terrorist groups. They kind of ignore the humanitarian crisis that they create.
Yeah, no, they sure do. They sure do, and they want to be. But this is causing so much harm to the people who. Remember, it's the cartels who are running this. These are bad people, bad guys running this business. They're the ones who are profiting off the moving of people, the moving of drugs, and the moving of drugs does so much destruction to American families. All that needs to be dealt with if we would have real enforcement on our border. We don't now. We do not have that. And again, you talk to any of the agents down there, and they will say this is exactly the situation. And I keep returning to this. This is deliberately being done by this administration.
Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you for fighting for all of us, your constituents in Ohio, but for all of us across the country for what is right. And I appreciate you joining us today on the broadcast.